Good morning, Mark Seth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your first video blog for the Atlantic Hurricane Season 2012 for Hurricane and Hurricane HD. I thought it would be appropriate to take a look at climatology. The weather averaged over about 100 years, the tropical cyclone weather anyway. That gives us climatology, or an average of what to expect. In the early part of the season, May, June, July, even though May is not considered part of the season, maybe it should be after this year. But June through November is the official hurricane season here. All of this activity encompassing those 6 months. You see that we rise up to a pretty sharp peak here in September, and then it drops off with another noticeable peak in October, and a noticeable yet weaker peak in November. What does this look like on a map? Well, here we are on June 1st through the 10th, with just a little bit of development overall over the last 100 years, concentrated in the western Atlantic basin. Notice the lack of activity out here, none. And during this 10-day period, a pretty active overall for 100 years in the eastern Pacific. When we get to September 1st through the 10th, wow, it really populates itself, and that is basically looking at that first chart on a map. So you see where we are on the June 1st through the 10th slide. We go back, and this is where we're heading, at least climatologically speaking. Where will they form this year? Hard to tell. Nobody knows the exact answer to that. NOAA predicting about an average season. If the El Nino that's trying to develop in the equatorial Pacific does not fully come to fruition and overwhelm the Atlantic in terms of wind shear, that's a story for another day. But you see where we're going from June 1st to the 10th, where things are pretty inactive, to the peak of the season in September, and we'll have to just see how things pan out. Sea surface temperatures play a big role in everything. We're looking for 26 degrees Celsius, or about 79 degrees Fahrenheit or so. And here is that 26 degrees Celsius line, what we call an isotherm, or line of equal temperature. And it snakes around about like that. The entire Gulf is already warm enough. So everything south of this line is right around 80 degrees or higher. This will creep north, where it'll take up almost the entire Atlantic basin by the time we get to September. It just takes a while. The sun slowly heats the ocean stores that energy, and then it gets released from time to time by hurricanes. They actually do a job of taking the heat that does develop here in the tropics and moving it towards the poles through that release of the latent heat by all that rain and energy that gets released from tropical storms and hurricanes. How do things look today? Nothing out there in the Atlantic, nothing in the Pacific, no low, medium, or high areas to worry about. If we look at a satellite shot of the Atlantic basin, we see strong upper-level winds as evidenced by these clouds getting pulled apart, like taking a cotton ball and stretching it between your hands. The same thing holds true for these tropical waves that migrate across the Atlantic. When these upper-level winds hit them, they get strung out like a cotton ball being pulled apart. Remember, I told you that this area through the basin, not active this time of year. We'd be looking more for this area. And we do have a little disturbance here in and around Florida and adjacent coastal waters, the western part of Cuba. Nothing to worry about in terms of organized tropical cyclone development, just kind of a showery, maybe some thunderstorms here and there day. As part of a wet season already for Florida, a lot of my friends and colleagues in the Sunshine State saying that in many areas their ponds and lakes are getting filled up already, and it's not even the wet season technically. In the Pacific, just a few random blobs of showers and thunderstorms. One quick thing, when we look at these satellite pictures, the infrared channel here, these are the colder cloud tops. In other words, this red here, this cloud top, is higher in the atmosphere and thus colder than the blue around it, like that. So all these blue clouds you see in here are blue coloring. Those are lower in the atmosphere, and these are much lower, and they're warmer. The higher up you go in the atmosphere, typically, the colder it gets. So wait until you see a time when we have a hurricane out here or in the Atlantic with a nice round red appearance to it, that very cold cloud top. We'll be watching for that. That is indicative of deep tropical convection, which drives these storms and gives them the energy they need to function. So there you have it. You're up to date for the first day of the Atlantic hurricane season. I'll be along each and every day to give you the latest, and a lot of these updates will be fairly short. If there's nothing to talk about, there's no reason to drag it out. and speculate about what may be coming and get you worried about nothing. It's nothing but the facts here. We're going to keep it straightforward, hopefully easy to understand, and when something does develop, and especially if it's something to worry about, we'll certainly give you the tools and the information that you need to make decisions on what to do if something is going to impact your local area. So look forward to that for the rest of the hurricane season ahead. We have 6 months or so. You never know, it might go into December. Sometimes they do. Or it could be a very boring year with not much activity at all. We'll see. My website is hurricanetrack.com. I am Mark Sudduth, proud to participate with Hurricane and Hurricane HD, the wonderful iPhone app, to keep you up to date on the very latest in the tropics. I look forward again to doing that for the hurricane season ahead. Have a great weekend, and I'll have another one of these for you tomorrow.